Hi everyone, welcome to Collab Convo. This is a podcast that's shining a light on the power of partnerships in the global tech space. I'm Jo Dunkley, I'm Managing Director of Coterie and co-founder of Coterie Community. And in each episode, I'm going to speak to partner marketing and alliance leaders to find out what's working and what's not, and what we can do to make a real commercial impact. And I'm delighted this week to be joined by Maria Ferrara, Senior Marketing Manager at Palo Alto Networks services across EMEA for service providers. So Maria, would you like to, over to you to introduce yourself?
Thank you, Jo, and thank you for letting me join your podcast today. So, as Jo said, I'm Maria Ferrara. I lead the marketing for our service providers at Palo Alto Networks across EMEA. And that's me. And essentially, I'm responsible for strategy, execution, and delivering results for our service providers.
Brilliant. Thank you so much, Maria. So let's get started. So when you look at partner marketing today, what are you really trying to achieve?
So I think if I had to summarize our overarching goal right now and where I am in terms of the ecosystem, I think it's about shifting partner marketing from a transactional support function into more of a predictable, measurable growth engine. And that's very much how we run at Palo Alto Networks as well. I think, as you mentioned in the introduction, I think partner marketing, and if we look at the marketing mix, I think too often it's been viewed internally as an administrative function, a team that hands out MDF or runs compliance checklists, et cetera. And I think, I'm now looking at how we can completely rewrite that narrative. And I think for me, it's we need to achieve a deep strategic integration for absolute certain.
That's really ambitious, Maria. So rewriting the narrative, what does that mean?
So I think the days of transactional vendor to reseller motion are fading. I think today's enterprise customers, they're trying to solve incredibly complex business problems. And they don't want to buy a standalone product. They want a complete solution. And I think as a marketer, we really need to understand that. So our strategy is heavily focused on, it's incredibly deep with our partners at any one time. So how do we take our technology, for example, and combine it seamlessly with what our partners are offering? In my example, I work with service providers, so it's offering that complete managed solution. And how do we package it essentially to provide a unified offering? We're trying to market a more cohesive joint solution to a customer, like say, rather than pushing just a standalone product through a channel. So that's how very much I envisage that.
So a whole proposition. So it might include, it might include a SaaS, SaaS provider as well.
And like I say,
a hyperscaler in with
and if you're looking at some of the telecoms companies that I work with, they offer a whole breadth of solution, and so we want to look at right from small to the bigger offering. Like I say, business problems in this day and age are very, very complex, and I think with the development of AI and more sort of cybercrime, it's getting more and more complex day to day. And I think we need to talk in that language rather than just a quick, one size fits all type of conversation.
You said it's really complex and everything, Maria. So what's your view? Do you think that the market is in good shape, as in partner marketing, when you look at what you're doing and maybe what your vendors are doing? Do you think that it's in good shape at the moment, and what is it that you see is missing? Where's the gaps at the moment?
Yeah, I think, if I was the doctor examining this today in the landscape, I think my diagnosis would probably of the industry would probably be around it's suffering a bit of a case of metric misalignment, potentially, particularly in the marketing space. I think on the surface, the vital signs look really great, and we're incredibly active. There's a huge sort of flurry of MDF being spent. We've got healthy marketing dollars. Partner portals they're consistently being updated. We're always working on content, enablement, webinars, etc. But I think if you look a little closer, there's a lot of motion without always forward movement. I think we're collectively confusing activity with impact. And I think that's a real key word here, which is impact. I think to get into a healthier place, if I was a doctor here, I think we have to stop treating partner marketing as a generic one size fits all, like I mentioned earlier. And actually, this is where AI is coming in now, because it's completely reshaping the ecosystem. So historically we fell back on, the generic self-serve, clearly, like I mentioned, partner portals and everything. But now, with AI, it's more and more possible to really sort of look at really precision marketing out to the industry. I think we need to look at that.
So is that looking at sort of like maybe past trends and things like that, Maria, seeing what's working and then using insights to predict more rather than, is that what you're saying?
I think instead of asking, how do we get the partner to push our product? I think we can use predictive data now to understand exactly how a joint solution can help a specific partner to grow their own services revenue. So, and we can take the generative tools to co-create, like AI, what we've got at our fingertips now to really help co-create some deeply integrated, highly customizable campaigns at scale. And that's another sort of key word, is how we look at growing at scale, which is an incredible more and more of a focus for us as we move on. I think, campaigns that truly sort of respect a partner's unique business model and proposition as well is really important. And so that they can talk directly to their customer base, but really sort of identify their differentiation. And I do think AI, it's given us more of the power, more of the confidence to sort of strip away, the busy work and align our co-marketing efforts with real, clear, measurable revenue impact. And again, it goes back to that word impact, scale, and measurability.
So I guess also as well, because things are so complex and you've obviously got AI and you can really pinpoint where to focus, I guess it's who to focus with as well, isn't it? So
absolutely.
How do you decide where to invest your time and your budget, Maria, when you're looking at the different partners that you're managing?
Yeah, so I think deciding where to invest, for me, it all comes down to executive alignment. I think, I can only invest my time and budget where there is top-down executive sponsorship on both the partner side and on our side of the fence as well. I think, for example, if only the partner marketers want to collaborate and they're excited about the collaboration, it's just not going to work, and the partnership is going to inevitably fade out if we don't get leadership to drive the mandate. So I think that's incredibly important for me. And I think, as for the red flags that a partner won't deliver, I think one of the key things for me, just as an example, is a reluctance to share data. If a partner's happy to sort of take co-op funds, you take money for marketing investment, but then suddenly goes quiet or is resistant to do joint account mapping or some, data-driven initiatives, we're not partners. And I think that's really key for me to be a success as well, is that we need to be joint in our approach. So in answer to your question, a bit long-winded, but I would say executive alignment on both sides to really ensure that we're jointly going to market. And the data point was just an example.
And executive alignment, that is so important, because we've seen in the past where with marketing are very willing, but the execs, where have you seen that happen? Have you got an example of, maybe not specifically, Maria, but what is it that can happen if you don't get that exec alignment?
Well, I think efforts fall flat. I think investments are not as successful. I think where I've seen great a great example is, I've worked for partners where if, say, for an example, we want to go to market with a specific solution, let's say, or we're launching something new to market, when it's done really, really well, we've actually got executives on both sides in a room together. And it's almost like a gentleman's handshake. It's not a legal document or anything like that. We do a really nice thing here where we might complete a letter of intent or something, like not a promise, but kind of a document to say we're together, we're going to go into this partnership. And what that means is that executives have spent the time to go into a room together, they've handshaken on it, they've signed an informal document, but then that allows me as a marketer to say to their teams, we have this. We know that the executives were in a room. They took the expense and the time to show that this was important to them, that we now need to be part of driving that initiative. And that's when I've seen it work really, really well.
Yeah.
But without that executive buy-in, it's very difficult to push out activities and to see, success of joint campaigns, because one of the sides is not fully committed.
Yeah, and I guess you need sales to pick up the leads when they come through from any campaigns. So
well, yeah, and I think look, sales is key. The sales teams are absolutely key, and I think working step by step with them is the key to success. And I think it's working as well when you see unprompted collaboration in terms of it's not just about creating net new leads or it's actually seeing that the deals involving this partner are closing faster, and sales are driving that, and marketing the engine to providing some new opportunities and noise in the marketplace.
Yeah, really working together, hand in hand.
Yeah.
Brilliant. Yeah. Okay. So, lastly, career tips. So before we wrap up, I thought we'd just shift a gear a little bit, Maria, and talk about your experience in partner marketing. So looking back at your career, what's one of the things that's made the biggest difference to your progression in partner marketing?
Okay, so I could talk for ages on this topic, but I was thinking I was thinking about it. So I think the biggest difference maker for me was a fundamental shift in my mindsets and realizing that partner marketing isn't just about B2B. For me anyway, it's about B2B to H, let's call it. So business to business to human. And really what I mean about that, for me, the turning point was when I stopped treating partner organizations like faceless corporate entities just to get a job done, right, in the day. But more to see them as more one-to-one relationships with my counterparts. People do business with people that they like and trust. That, for me, was the biggest difference. So my advice for somebody building a career today is to become the absolute master of empathy and influence. And in partner marketing, you're constantly trying to get another team to do something for you, or you're always trying to persuade people to help you out, aren't you? When actually you've got zero authority, zero managerial authority over them. And I think if you can understand what motivates your partner and can communicate the shared value effectively, I think you will be unstoppable. Not that I'm saying I'm unstoppable, but I do think it comes down to that. I
think that's amazing insight, Maria, because, we have in the past done some research around partner marketing and why it is different from the rest of marketing, because we are seeing a little bit of a trend where someone might, partner marketing is being asked to be looked after by the field teams, and it is a very different discipline. Yes. And I think your insight there, and it is all about relationships. So the research brought up about, how it is a skill set, it's a relationship skill set that straddles marketing and sales, because although you're reporting into a sales discipline, actually you really need to be working arm in arm with the sales teams and understanding the product, understanding the commercials. You need to be commercial, and that is a massive point of difference between a partner marketeer, I think, and
Yeah.
some of the rest of the marketing disciplines that maybe don't need that as much. So I think you're absolutely bob on. I love that. It's really fantastic
Yeah,
advice.
and I think partners have a lot of technology vendors that they work with. And I really do think, look, if they like you and you're helping them, with their pain points, however that is, it's making your life easier. It's making their life easier. And ultimately, you're working for the same cause, which is let's grow business, let's be successful. And it comes down to collaboration and trust.
Yeah, trust is a big one, isn't it?
100%.
What advice would you give to someone who's listening to you, Maria, and thinking, yeah, I'd love to get involved in that?
I would say do it. When I stepped into this area, gosh, how many, 10 years plus ago, let's say, it was the best decision I ever made. I think you're always learning. And I think if you're open to learning, if you're curious, I think this is a great job for you. And I would advise anybody, I'd advise my own children to think about technology as a career, because it's fantastic and it is continually changing. You can work in sales, you can work in marketing, but it's very team driven. So I would encourage anybody to be open-minded and do it. I'd say do it.
Yeah, I love that. And it is team, isn't it? And curiosity is a blinding word that you've used there, Maria, because I think you always have to be sort of like looking, well, what if I do this? What if I do that? And talking to people all the time and getting their views. And it is a constant, shifting in both camps, isn't it? So,
Absolutely.
Maria, thank you so much today. I think we're a wrap. It's been an absolute pleasure talking to you. One final question. What is your partner marketing motto?
Oh, okay. So, based on everything I've said, I would say the motto would be, you can't mandate collaboration, you have to inspire it. We love it. So, and it just goes back to the idea of influencing without authority. I think if you're that type of person, you can be really successful.
Absolutely breathing the enthusiasm here, honestly, Maria. I can really feel it. You really are. So that's it for this week's episode. Thank you so much, Maria, for participating, and I'll see you on the other side of Collab Convo.
Thanks, Jo. Take care.
Thank you. Bye.